So guys, the ESN is being investigated by the current administration. Take a look at this.
So the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit revealed today how terrorist groups in the country are funded. And according to him, they say, or rather according to the group, the unit, they are saying that there is a network of affiliates of the indigenous people of Biafra across 22 countries. So we're coming back again to IPOB. Now, one would have expected that in this report would have heard maybe Boko Haram, would have had ISWAP having their reign in the northeast and other parts of the country in terms of the kidnapping and banditry ongoing. But rather, the group mentioned here is Eastern Security Network and IPOB, and they are saying that they employ strategies by using certain groups through crowdfunding, betting platforms, and all other financial means that they use to get money to, possibly procure arms and do whatever nefarious activities they want to do. And they're stating that the diaspora affiliate, that is those outside the country who are members of the group IPOB, they have spread over 22 countries across the globe. So they submitted their report today to the law enforcement agencies for further investigation. What's your take on this report? But do you think that the government should have a conversation with the Finland government for any form of extradition, considering the fact that he's making treasonable comments?
No, his comments are not, this is like something not worth responding to. It's not reasonable. It's just like the rantings of anybody can say whatever. But of what effect is it? Of what import is his comment? And nobody will take his comment serious that you want to declare the sitting president of the country wanted. He's moving around freely and he travels around the world and you are there just to talking balloons. So neither here nor there. Yes.
So guys, the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit has come up with the report on how ESN is being funded, and the question is, they never included Boko Haram and other terrorist group in this report. So there is a question out there on why the real terrorist groups were being omitted and only the ESN is being investigated. Anyway, a lawyer is here to answer to all that, and also there is a question around whether Simon Ekpa will be repatriated to Nigeria to come answer questions for some of these comments. So guys, this lawyer is here to give answers to those questions. So just take your time, relax, and watch this video for yourself and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me allow you to see the video.
News report: Simon Ekpa, a controversial Biafra agitator and separatist, has declared that no fewer than 9 persons are wanted for terrorism allegations in the southeast. In the list, Ekpa named President Bola Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, amongst others, who he claimed are behind the insecurity in the region. Recall, the defense headquarters had earlier declared that Ekpa, alongside 96 others, are wanted for violent extremism in the country. Reacting, Ekpa, in a press release on his verified handle on Sunday, said the inclusion of his name in the terror list released by DHQ is dead on arrival. He therefore promised to release more detailed names of the sponsors of terrorism in Biafra land and their accomplices in earnest. According to Simon Ekpa, he wrote, "The Biafran government will not challenge the declaration of the Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa, wanted by the Nigerian headquarters in Nigeria's court. The declaration, according to Ekpa, wanted by the Nigerian army, is dead on arrival." Simon Ekpa linked the Moscow attack in Russia to the federal government as well as ISIS. As in Finland at the moment, he's been declared wanted by the Nigerian government. And in response, Simon Ekpa is declaring that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is wanted. Not only that, you recall the Moscow attack that transpired in Russia, he's linking the federal government along in collaboration with ISIS. According to him, he's saying that they would not support terrorism in any form and that they're simply against it, but that according to him, he's actually stipulating that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government is ISIS's stronghold. What does that mean? What facts does he have? Could this be the reason why the government is declaring him wanted? Because they feel he's creating a huge conflict in the country and serious disparity in the nation. What's your take on that?
I would suggest we don't ventilate or give any amplification
to this
utterances by this character you just referred to, who's simply a rabble-rouser who is enjoying himself abroad in Finland. His comments are not worth commenting on, and even the ridiculous nature of trying to declare the president of the country wanted is simply stupid, and it's not worth commenting on. If he wants to, let him come into Nigeria and say such things like some of us are in Nigeria talking. He won't be he won't be enjoying the cozy nature of Finland and be there and talking crap, and then we are trying to ventilate it and kudos to it. No, I wouldn't do that.
But do you think that the government should have a conversation with the Finland government for any form of extradition, considering the fact that he's making treasonable comments?
No, I mean, his comments are not, I mean, this is like something not worth responding to. It's not reasonable. It's just like the rantings of anybody can say whatever. But of what effect is it? Of what import is his comment? And nobody will take his comment serious that you want to declare the sitting president of the country wanted. He's moving around freely, and he travels around the world, and you are there just to talking balloons. So neither here nor there. Yes.
Barrister Ezeuche, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit revealed today how terrorist groups in the country are funded. And according to him, they say, or rather according to the group, the unit, they are saying that there is a network of affiliates of the indigenous people of Biafra across 22 countries. So we're coming back again to IPOB. Now, one would have expected that in this report would have heard maybe Boko Haram, would have had ISWAP having their reign in the northeast and other parts of the country in terms of the kidnapping and banditry ongoing. But rather, the group mentioned here is Eastern Security Network and IPOB, and they're saying that they employ strategies by using certain groups through crowdfunding, betting platforms, and all other financial means that they use to get money to, possibly procure arms and do whatever nefarious activities they want to do. And they're stating that the diaspora affiliate, that is those outside the country who are members of the group IPOB, they have spread over 22 countries across the globe. So they submitted their report today to the law enforcement agencies for further investigation. What's your take on this report?
I think is that the NFIU is just playing politics and even being ethnically influenced. Because the reality is this: the bulk of the terrorism actions, the bulk of the BDCs who transmit money, the arrests made even by foreign authorities in Dubai about Nigerians who are involved in funding terrorism, we know who they fund, and it is certainly not any IPOB. So this statement by NFIU is clearly political and is ethnically biased. So it is, if they have issues, let them bring it up and stop releasing press statements. It's disgraceful that an authority that has the powers to prosecute, arrest, and do whatever is just sitting down somewhere making ethnically biased comments against a group which most people know is more of a spiritual issue. Okay. Because when they say bringing in weapons and all that stuff, it's crap. It's absolute crap. So let them go and get the people who fund Boko Haram. Let them go and get those who form all these kidnappings, and stop disturbing Nigeria with press statements about non-existent threats which they attribute to IPOB.
But the thing is this.
So guys, before I allow you continue with this video, I just want to say that this government is also trying to make some of the mistakes that the past administration made. We all saw, how Buhari was just like protecting some of the mistakes of the northerners and going after other tribes. We saw how many people died in places like Imo State. Young people, in the name of the military men were looking for the ESN people. At the end of the day, there was a time the mortuary in Imo State was, would I say, overflowed with dead bodies that were unclaimed Nigerians, and I don't know if this mistake will just keep continuing all the time. Now it is IPOB that is being looked into, and not even the bandits who are coming into Nigeria. They will come into a community and take more than 200 persons, and nobody is talking. So I think this is a very big distraction on the part of the government. I just want to say that honestly, it is time for us to start pursuing the real substance and not the shadow. It's not as if I'm trying to cover any group, but let things be done without any tribal or religious sentiment being attached to it. I think that's just my take. So let me allow you continue with this video.
One would have expected that there would have been a more comprehensive and in-depth report submitted to the federal government today. We know that there are more than one terrorist groups in the country. Aside from IPOB has been declared as a terrorist group, you have ISWAP and Boko Haram. And recently, actually, in the northeast, they've been ravaging that aspect of the nation, that axis of the country of recent, on a consistent manner. How come they were not able to get any link to to that group as to how they're financed, as to how they procure their funds, as to their affiliates even outside the country. I mean, what would you say to that in terms of your net in searching and, going further before releasing the reports?
Now, that is why when some of us talk about the biases in government, the lopsided nature of appointments, you have virtually all the security outfits headed by maybe people from the non-Igbo area. So they can easily meet together and talk whatever they want to say about the Southeast, as if because there's nobody to even talk about the Southeast there. Nobody's talking about how Ghanaian Adams is funding himself, or how the Odua People's Liberation Army is funding, or nobody's even talking about Boko Haram Fulani herdsmen, where they get all their AK-47. And somebody is there, NFI is talking about IPOB. Those in the East know that the IPOB is more, like I said, more of a spiritual regeneration of effort at liberation. And somebody is saying that they are funding the... So like I said, this is an unfortunate statement from a group that should be a serious outfit, which you come up with. If you have facts, prosecute, and don't just sit down and release press releases. Because they are ethnically biased.
No, it was not a press release. It was a report that was released to the federal government, which the press was able to have a hand on. Now, Barrister SLHA, today, Sheikh Gumi, as you do know him, he is a sheikh, and he has been one that has been calling to be a mediator. You recall before the 137 students were released, he was asking to mediate for the federal government to negotiate the release of these children. And that was when the president said that he was not going to negotiate with terrorists, and he would never allow his government to negotiate with terrorists. Well, he has been invited for questioning today by the federal government. Now, some critics say that this is all protocol. That the federal government have always known that Gumi has close affiliations with these terrorist groups. And how come all this while the government did not apprehend him or invite him for questioning? But you know that when Gumi made that statement, Nigerians called him out and said, of what power, what authority does Gumi have, and why is the federal government afraid of him? So do you think they inviting Gumi for questioning today is just for protocol purposes?
It is for protocol purposes, because the reality is this: if you have facts, if you have evidence, arrest a man and prosecute him.
Okay.
Not just invite him to make statements on what. He will still say the same thing when he comes out. And what are the crimes he has committed when he calls for negotiation with terrorists? I mean, if you know the crime, you charge him for it. So the government, unfortunately, continues to do the same kind of procedures that the Buhari regime has been doing. So much motion but no movement. What has inviting Gumi got to do with anything? The issue, like for instance, you now announce that you have secured the release of the over 200 students.
No, 137.
Forgetting that when these students were being arrested, were being kidnapped, some were killed. So serious offenses were committed. So yes, the issue of Gumi being invited, they can invite anybody, but for goodness sake, if you have evidence against somebody, don't waste anybody's time. Prosecute him, bring him before the court, let the court adjudicate, and don't rely more on press statements.
But inviting him for questioning is another process of investigating. Because I recall Gumi just 2 days ago asked why the federal government would mention his ally, whose case is in court, as part of those on the terrorist list wanted. One of the persons who negotiated or who was able to channel money from his account to the Kaduna train terrorist abduction that took place 2 years ago, early last year. And Gumi was saying that the case is in court, and why the federal government had to mention that man's name as those who were on the watch list to be watched out for as terrorists. Do you think that it was that call that made the federal government invite him for questioning?
Well, I don't know what were their reasons. They may have their reasons, but the reality is, like people saying, yes, you invite for questioning, but after that, what next? People get tired of all these circumlocutors' invitations. We need real action. Because this wouldn't be the first time he's been invited, and he still releases him, and he makes more daring statements, and nothing happens. So these people have made statements that others from other ethnic groups would have been arrested or even shot, and they get away with it, as if they have immunity. That being a sheikh does not accord Mr. Gumi any immunity. If he commits a crime, you pick him up. But it's not just Mr. Gumi. You see governors, you see emirs hobnobbing with persons declared as wanted terrorists. So let us forget the issue of Gumi. One of those who are meeting with them, governors who say they're going to dialogue with terrorists, and you see these terrorists brandishing all kinds of weapons. Is ownership of machine guns allowed for individuals in Nigeria? But you see governors with their security paraphernalia going into dens to meet with terrorists and nobody gets arrested. And I thought of inviting Gumi for questioning. Well,
Islamic cleric Ahmed Gumi has been invited for questioning over his comments on the activities of bandits in the country. The Minister of Information and Orientation, Muhammad Idris, stated this while addressing journalists at the State House in Abuja today. We'll bring you more details as events unfold with the questioning of Sheikh Gumi with the federal government. Elsewhere, the federal government has distanced itself from reports making rounds that ransom was paid to secure the release of 137 school children abducted from the Kuriga community, Chikun local government area in Kaduna State. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris, disclosed the State House correspondence in Abuja on Wednesday. According to Idris, the federal government had vowed not to pay ransom to secure the release of the abducted victims. The minister commended the National Security Advisor and service chiefs for the role they played in securing the release of the school children. He said President Bola Tinubu has asked security agencies to intensify efforts to stop the menace of kidnapping across the country. In a related development, the Bola Tinubu-led federal government has confirmed the escape of Binance's executive Nadeem Anjarwalla from its custody. The head of strategic communication in the office of the National Security Advisor, Zakari Mijinyawa, made this known in a statement today. Mijinyawa confirmed that Anjarwalla, the Binance regional manager for Africa, fled from UNSA custody in Abuja with the help of government officials. He said the personnel responsible for the custody of the suspect had been arrested, and a thorough investigation to unravel the circumstances that led to his escape is ongoing. The UNSA spokesman added that a preliminary investigation showed that Anjarwalla fled Nigeria using a smuggled passport. He added that security agencies are working with Interpol for an international arrest warrant on the suspect. Recall that Anjarwalla and Tigran Gambarian were initially detained upon their arrival in Nigeria on February 26, 2024 on allegations of tax evasion and other charges. Following Binance's non-compliance with the court order demanding data on Nigerian traders, the duo's detention was extended to prevent evidence tampering. However, Anjarwalla managed to flee on Friday, March 22, from a guest house in Abuja where he and a colleague were being held. According to Premium Times, the escape occurred when guards allowed the Binance executive to visit a nearby mosque for Ramadan prayers. The dual British-Kenyan citizen is believed to have left Abuja aboard a Middle Eastern airline, which raised questions about his departure despite Nigerian authorities holding his British passport. Now, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit today revealed how terrorist groups in the country are funded. VOP News understands that NFRU in a newsletter disclosed that terrorist groups receive funds through crowdfunding, online transactions, and betting platforms. The Financial Intelligence Unit said it had intensified a network of affiliates of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, across 22 countries through a report it received. These groups, according to the NFRU, have been involved in various forms of illicit financing to fund their operations, including attacks, recruitment, and procurement of weapons. The report reveals, and I read, the strategies employed by terrorist groups to generate and move funds within Nigeria's financial landscape include crowdfunding, the use of online platforms, and the use of betting platforms, amongst others. The diaspora affiliates of the IPOB group have spread over 22 countries across the globe. The NFRU disclosed it had forwarded the report to law enforcement agencies for further investigation. Last week, the federal government released a list of 15 entities, including 9 individuals and 6 bureau de change operators and firms suspected to be involved in terrorism financing in the country. Specifically with the situation of the Binance executive that escaped from the clutches of the federal government, is actually quite outstanding that the federal government eventually disclosed that the Binance executive who escaped with the help of the Nigerian government officials. And one would wonder, with the magnanimity of the issue that Binance had been with the federal government and the ongoing investigation, how it was so easy for this individual to escape. Now, the federal government has his British British passport, but this man was able to escape with a different passport, being enabled by a Nigerian government official who was meant to look after him. He actually left the custody by saying he was going to the mosque for prayers. Barrister Eze, can you help me comprehend or explain what this means?
Well, thank you very much. I wonder why Nigerians are surprised that we do not have security in this country, that we have people who pride themselves as security agencies, and in reality there is nothing and absolutely no intelligence associated with them. Why do I say this? We have events or instances where 100, 200 terrorists gather and attack communities, and our intelligence outfits, including even the DSS, are unaware of how 200 people can gather and attack communities. I'm not surprised, and anybody who understands how security works, how the intel community works, understands that once you don't have it, you don't have it. So what transpired, the escape of this young man, is just that he had the funds to pay for his way out. And in Nigeria, we have people who have positions but no responsibility. There is somebody who is in charge of the DSS unit in Abuja or in wherever he's being kept. The first thing you expect of any serious country is to sack or even arrest the director or deputy director of that agency which is responsible for him. All the Nigerians do, they only pick up the small fries, the person at the gate man of this outfit. That's the person that will bear responsibility. But those at the top who are actually responsible for this security lapse will go scot-free. So how would you expect them to behave well next time? So I'm not surprised that this young man went out. You can hold all the passports you want, but we know how porous our borders are. And you can even walk past the security checkpoint at the airport. When you arrive at Nigeria from outside, or when you're even trying to travel, you see some so-called VIPs. They will not go through the custom and immigration check.
Barrister Eze, don't go too far in your explanation. This is the same custody where the IPOB leader, Namikano, has been, he's been in the custody of the DSS, and they barely let him move out without anyone accompanying him. Whatever communication that has been handed to him or whatever visit he has is properly checked. They allow this man to go to a mosque, somebody that is going through investigation, someone who is in the custody of the federal government. He was allowed to go to a mosque, and that was where he escaped. And you want to tell me that that plan was not a plan that had commenced right from when he was apprehended initially, and there is a network within the government that was able to allow it, rather than just one or two government officials as they mentioned? How do you think this portrays the Nigerian government?
Well, it only portrays the Nigerian government how those who understand the system have been viewing the Nigerian government as a most unserious lot. We still have characters at the topmost echelon of our society who have a complex when it comes to Caucasians. When you even bring somebody who is white-skinned to the prison, he has a different treatment from other criminals who
Barrister Eze, this man was believed to have left Abuja aboard a Middle Eastern airline, almost like the airline was waiting for him. The plan was already done and the airline was waiting for him. The government had his British passport, but he was able to get out of the country. So which brings us back again. The situation...
This line is cracking up.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me properly now?
Yeah, I'm not hearing you very well. Yes, it's cracking up from your end.
I can hear you very clearly. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Okay, so the question now is, with all of this, how do you think the government will handle this? How severe should they handle this?
They will be clueless because it is above and beyond their capacity. What do you want them to do? The man is gone, he's gone. And the unfortunate thing is this. I will even doubt that the government can bring any foreigner back into Nigeria for trial, because all you need to do is to prove that the judicial system is not above board.
Okay.
And once you are able to establish that you're not sure that you will get justice when you are repatriated, no foreign country will repatriate you to Nigeria.
Okay.
So the government, the man is gone, he's gone. Simple. There's no two ways about it.
All right.
So guys, you've heard it, a whole lot of information from the ESN being investigated to Samuel Ekpa, being repatriated to Nigeria also, and so many things. You have heard about Gumi being investigated too, or being called to question. So guys, there is a whole lot going on in Nigeria. And for me, I think the federal government should adopt the best practice when it comes to fighting terrorism. Adopt the best practice. You know that the Biafran people are asking for something. They said they want secession. They said they want to be on their own. They are making a request, and it is open, it is known to everybody what their demands are. Go ahead and speak with them and tell them why you cannot offer them, or why you wouldn't want to go ahead to grant them their demand. Instead, negotiate with them as, okay, I can't afford this, but let's do it this way. There must be a point of agreement. And for the other groups, the terrorist organizations like the Boko Haram that is known, the bandits that come into Nigeria and they can just take more than 200 persons out of Nigeria without anybody knowing. Those groups, you see them as enemies of Nigeria and fight them to finish. That's how to do things. We all know when Yaradua wanted to address the agitation in the South, some people saw it as in he was taking the wrong step. But today, Yaradua is being applauded to have taken that stance, even though he's no more alive. But people remember that if it were not to be him, maybe by now the Niger Delta would have been something else. Especially this period where we have terrorism and banditry all over the places, even across the world. Niger Delta would have been pushed to the wall, to do things that Nigerians wouldn't have believed. But that situation was napped, in the bud, and today there is peace in South. But these other people like Buhari and the current administration, they don't even see it as the best of strategy. Go and meet these people. They have people who can stand, who can come out to negotiate. It's not as if they are hiding it. Go and speak with them, even if you are not going to grant them, them being the secession that they are asking for. Tell them, we cannot give you this. But if you say that the federal government presence is not being felt in your region, okay, that we can start looking into. Promise them. There were a lot of promises that were made to the Igbos even after the civil war. None of those have been, implemented. None of them have been achieved. Even up to today, most of those promises have not been fulfilled. Those are the things the federal government should be looking into. Please, let's do these things and do it maturely. The other African countries are overtaking Nigeria. They are overtaking us because we pay attention to things that are not supposed to be given time to. That is where we direct our energies to. Look at Nigeria that is supposed to be talking about technology. We're supposed to be having many startups. Businesses should be booming with the kind of human beings God blessed us with. We have smart youths. We have people that are intelligent in terms of education or handwork or, being smart in crafting things. Nigerians are very, very intelligent. But we abandon all those aspects of human resource development, and we are just paying attention to who is sponsoring terrorism, who is not sponsoring, and you are even tagging the wrong people. These are people that what their request is, their demands are. You should just go ahead and meet their demand and stop beating about the bush. Go against the real bandits and the terrorists and just address the marginalization that is being experienced or being felt by the people in the Southeast. Just address that gap. I tell you, so many people in the Southeast don't even want to leave Nigeria. They don't. But when people feel they are abandoned, they are not. Look at so many businesses of the Southeasterners are in Lagos and Abuja because they can't even run businesses in the Southeast. There's no presence of government. No good roads. Nothing is working in the Southeast, and that's why you see every Southeasterner is running to the west or to Abuja. And at the end of the day, they will tell you they are destroying their property. Go back to your country. The government go back to your state or to your region. The government have not made the Southeast a very, very a viable region so that even the Southeasterners themselves can invest in that area. That is why everybody is running to Lagos, and Nigeria is not moving forward. So you can imagine where every state is meant to be independent and businesses are booming in all the regions of the country. We'll be making more money as a country, and insecurity will come down because people will be employed. So I think there are better and smart ways to address all these things, which the federal government really has to pay attention to. Don't look at all the side talk, even all these things that Simon Ekpa is saying. I don't think Nnamdi Kanu will be in support of those. So I don't think that's even something to hold firm on. Don't listen to those things. Be focused. Tinubu's government should be very focused and be straightforward in fighting insecurity. Don't look at sentiments. Don't look at religion. Don't look at region. Don't look at tribe. Don't look at anything. Just be neutral and work as somebody who wants to see Nigeria progress. I think that's just my own take. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can recommend it to others, and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.